Hello, I'm Toycat, and I play survival Minecraft a little differently to most people, which is why I always have big ideas that I know I shouldn't attempt in survival. In fact, I uploaded some of these to YouTube in 2020 with the successful follow-up, which I creatively titled 7 Ideas You Shouldn't Try, and you'll never believe the video that came after that because it was 8 ideas you should not try. And so you're not going to believe what I have for you today. Here are 9 ideas that I really want to try in Minecraft survival, but I 100% know I should not. Like, for example, I've always wanted to remove all the surface blocks from every biome to see how they look different underneath. You know, kind of like if we ripped everyone's face off, we'd all look the same. What happens when you remove all of the pretty blocks from each biome? The answer won't shock you because they all look like stone apparently, with the key exception being the mesa biome, which looks like terracotta, and the desert, which is sandstone until you then hit stone vanilla. You know what? Minecraft biomes actually aren't very exciting when you remove all the biome-specific blocks. But do you know what is exciting? Besides subscribing to Toycat, by the way. Did you know 99.9% of house fires happen to people who aren't subscribed to the channel? I bet you didn't. And first things first, let's go to the Nether, which looks kind of smooth now. But for those of you who remember Minecraft before the texture update, it used to be a much noisier place to be. I mean, I'll admit that this is probably uglier, but the Nether is meant to be ugly. It's literally hell, and so I thought to myself, how can we recreate this, but in modern Minecraft where the textures aren't so ugly? And the answer is we do have a couple of ugly blocks in modern day Minecraft that come almost as close as Netherrack. I'd say raw copper and raw iron do a pretty good job. What if the Nether was entirely made up of beans? And the cool thing about creative is we can answer that question without having to waste millions of raw ores, because we can instead use the magical replace command. The answer being, of course, a very ugly Nether. My god, this really does create that feeling of, ooh, I'm surrounded by something kind of uncomfortable. And yeah, if you ever wanted to know what it would look like if the Nether was beans, this is that. However, because this is just the old Nether biome, I wondered what would happen if you did the same, but with newer biomes, because I do love this look of, like, again, discomforting off-centered textures that just feel incorrect, but I wonder, what if you did it to other biomes? I don't know what I was expecting here, but replacing soul sand with raw copper actually has pretty interesting results. But I'm sure, just like anything, we can ruin it with enough effort, so now let's take the soul soil and replace that with gold and see if that meshes together. Oh my god, it actually works, right? I mean, you lose a little bit of the point of the Soul Sand Valley, but skeletons still spawn here, and maybe the Nether is good for projects like this. Honestly, that's the weird thing about this series, is the whole point is like, things I would never try in survival. Why would you ever get this many blocks of raw ingredient? However, using the Nether for a replacement project might be actually a pretty good idea. Maybe that's why people like this series of things that should not be real projects, but that somehow I fall in love with anyway. Do you like this too? Or is this just me having a taste for gaudy gold things? Let me know before we move into the second thing you totally shouldn't do in survival, because here's the scoop. I was worried that you wouldn't be able to see this at nighttime, and then I remembered FROGLIGHT. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Even the Wandering Llamas want to get in on this, because this is like a massive rave party. This feels incorrect. It's too bright for Minecraft. There's just so much happening in here, and I love it. The FROGLIGHTs really are such a ridiculous block because they have so much texture, and yet they have so much light. But here's the fun thing, right? There's actually 3 varieties of FROGLIGHTs, and so let's play around with replacing them, shall we? So, if I'm not mistaken, there is a FROGLIGHT that is verdant, and then there's pearlescent. So, if we replace our ochre FROGLIGHTs with, let's say, let's start with verdant, because I think a green desert temple would be interesting too. Okay, well, that's slightly green. That's mostly green. That's all the way green. I think the green desert temple loses some of its initial charm, but don't get me wrong, I still like this too. It matches the creepers and the zombies, which are filling it up a little bit better. But the one that I think will really take the cake here is if we replace all the sandstone with pink or pearlescent. So now we replace verdant with pearlescent. Do I know how to spell pearlescent? Let's hope we do. Oh, I do. Nope, I don't. Oh, it's verdant I spelt wrong. Okay, so it was pearlescent. It's just you know what? I got it in the end anyway. Can you even notice? This is truly the god tier of structures in Minecraft. A massive pink room that is just... Honestly, this is the sort of thing that should inspire you to get FROGLIGHTs. It's far too hard to get your hands on enough to build a temple or a lot of temples or a whole house from, but that doesn't mean that it's not absolutely ridiculous and amazing to look at. Take a close look at this thing and you'll realize that it is just next level Minecraft. This looks like it's a weird Minecraft RTX artifact, but no, all you need is some pearlescent froglights and my favorite addition, the honey blocks, and you can make something which you probably shouldn't, and that's probably why it's so fun. Okay, this next one is especially relevant because people have been calling for a while for strongholds to replace their bricks with deep slate bricks if they generate a deep slate layer. It's kind of nonsensical that there's deep slate behind and all around the stronghold, yet the stronghold is made from these regular bricks. It wouldn't make any sense. Instead, it would be filled with deep slate. However, you know, I'm sure we've showed that up enough times. I'm thinking what would be way more interesting is what if instead of having regular bricks, we had mud bricks fill up the stronghold. It would make it look like a much more primitive structure, which is meant to be part of the point, right? So we're going to do the same fill command I do always. If you're curious as to the syntax on this, how we actually make this work, it's not actually that tricky. You just type in the area you want to fill, like 10 blocks from me in each direction. Then we type mud bricks, and then we'll say 0 for the variant of the mud bricks, and then we'll say replace and then the stone bricks. So stone bricks is all one word, as far as I know. It's one of those strange things. And when we do that, all of the mud bricks replace the stone bricks. It turns out we have to make the area a little bit higher because we're missing some. But this is what a primitive stronghold would look like with some weird monster eggs mixed in. You know what, that is very strange. But yeah, you can see the very base idea at the very least that like, ooh, this place is strange, right? This is incredibly weird. And then all you have to do is the last touches yourself. And then all of a sudden, we've got the answer to the question, what if strongholds were a bit more primitive? And honestly, I absolutely love this. I mean, obviously, it's a really basic idea, but I think, like, yeah, the strongholds were from a much further time in the past. I mean, the little bit of lore we have about Minecraft tells us that there is a big time gap, and so surely they would use a different type of material. Surely they wouldn't be using stone brick, even though they statistically are most likely in the deep slate layer, where they would logically be trying to use that. I'm just saying, Minecraft strongholds could do with an update, and if they won't do it, I might have to do it myself. Because I actually really like this. It might be more fun to build a stronghold from scratch using mud bricks, honestly. Because the old stronghold just has this really drab tone to it. I feel like you get these really warm, like inviting, mysterious tones from the mud bricks. And that is one of the best uses for them. It's this kind of primitive, olden days thing, which would be a perfect fit for existing Minecraft structures. Don't you think so? But we could keep the same, like, structure ideas intact if we really have to, but the design could certainly change. While we're speaking about things that I wanted to do in my Minecraft world, I was considering doing this for my biggest flex in Minecraft video, but then I realized that although the netherite beacon is a big flex, my idea that I was going to do instead is actually not as big. I wanted to make the beacon netherite. This is obviously using beacons to make the big part of the thing, and then a netherite block on the top just like this. This is a reverse netherite beacon, but the funny thing about it is that a full netherite beacon would genuinely be so intensive that this is easier to do. And so making a beacon netherite is maybe the easier task in survival, and maybe the one we should go for. I mean, what do you need to do it? You need to get your hands on, okay, maybe 200-ish beacon blocks. That's not so hard. 200 beacon blocks is only 600 wither skulls, and then fight the wither 600 times. That can't be that challenging, can it? Should I do? I'm not going to do this in survival. I do think, though, if you want to, like, have a little bit of a fun challenge, even just making the basic version of this can be kind of enjoyable, right? Isn't this the sort of thing that you want to see someone do, but you don't want to do it yourself? Unless you're me. I've really got to resist. You know, I have I have things I need to do that aren't just grinding for beacons. But would it be satisfying if you made it, like, alternating layers of a beacon? Wait, yeah. I think I'm actually onto something with this one. Isn't this incredible? Like, it's a waste of the beacons to be used underneath there, because you don't even really get to appreciate them, unless you're really looking from the side. But isn't this just stunning to look at? I love this so much. You add some stained glass to this, and you've got yourself a party. Although, technically, we haven't blurred out the... There we go. That's the correct way to do that. You know what? I'm not going to be using netherite for this, but I think this is such a cool idea. I really want one of these. You know what else I really want? So, my favorite type of wood in Minecraft has to be the mangrove log. It's so good looking, and that's before you consider that it kind of looks like a steak. But here's the thing about mangrove, I think that it could look better than every other wood in Minecraft if it was just given the opportunity. Don't you think every forest would look slightly better if the oak trees were replaced by mangrove? Well, I mean, I'm not actually sure, but let's find out by replacing an entire forest. Okay, this is actually quite a serious improvement. It's a bit weird seeing birch leaves on mangrove wood, but it is genuinely an improvement. Same with the oak trees. I think every type of wood might look better if you replace it with mangrove logs. I mean, it wouldn't be smart to do that, of course. But I mean, can you seriously tell me that the forest looks better like this than it does like this? Ooh, yeah, look at those. Honestly, this looks more like a tiger tree. It's got that really rough surface that you kind of expect. Even this tall birch forest looks so much better, but what about the roof forest? I mean, the wood types are so different that it can't possibly fit, but I bet it does anyway. Yep, as you can see, these trees look so much better with mangrove wood instead of that existing dark oak wood. Honestly, even taking a look at the jungle, which of course people said the wood was far too similar to the original design for mangrove, I mean, it's kinda nice by itself, but you know what would kick it up a gear? If it looked more like mangrove. But even this place is looking so much better. It's looking a bit more like a mangrove swamp if we're being entirely honest, but maybe not in a bad way. I mean, when you chop down this tree, you know it's gonna be delicious. Oh, and for some reason it's like the Hi-Fi version, right? Oh, I guess mangrove wood is different to mangrove log. Well, today I learned, but if you were to chop it down, then you'd realize that you're not as stupid as me, clearly. And yeah, I think every forest is massively improved with just a little bit of mangrove wood. We proved it with every forest in the game. Leave a comment down below if you think I missed a forest, because I'm pretty sure I didn't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these forests I showed you are the only ones in the game. Yeah, I'd have to hear in like a comment, some form of like engagement if you disagreed with that for some reason. Okay, I'll be honest with you, I was deliberately infuriating you solely so that you'd be so mad you didn't notice we came back to the beacon netherite again, or as it is in this case, the beacon diamond. I was so obsessed with this thing I had to build it again, and I think it looks slightly better with the diamond block on the top. Isn't there just something so fascinating about this? You don't usually see this many beacons next to each other and not being activated, because there's no reason that you would, but it's just such an interesting looking block, right? Speaking of interesting looking blocks, if I was going to rebuild it once, I decided I would have to rebuild both versions, so I've also got my half netherite, half beacon structure here. I just love this thing so much. I think I've always loved beacons in this world. Like, when it comes to creative goofing around, you might as well use the blocks that are hard to get in survival, I guess. And so why not use beacons like there's no tomorrow? You can even use them to make a giant beacon. I think it's a lot of fun. Speaking of things that are a lot of fun, there's something I've wanted to build for a while. I really don't know how a slime got there. I hate mob spawning rules. But, you know what I've been thinking about for a while? It's the fact that I haven't built another giant structure in a while. These videos, these projects you shouldn't attempt, always start with a giant structure, because rebuilding any structure is kind of a silly idea in Minecraft, and rebuilding a giant version is especially dumb, as you've seen from my various attempts just now. Wow, isn't editing cool? I hope it's cool, otherwise I'm gonna fire someone. But, the cool thing, if we head over here, is that there's one structure that came out that I've notably not built a giant version of. That's right, the ancient city has that massive portal in the center, but what if the massive portal was even massiver? Well, hypothetically, if you had a lot of space that wasn't being used for anything, and maybe would look better with a giant portal there, you might want to include it. And so, that is precisely what you're about to see. I would be lying if I said I had any clue what I was doing right now, but that is most of the fun of Minecraft sometimes. I don't know why this block exists here. It can't be broken, and I can fly into it, but it still seems to... whatever. We're gonna place the reinforced deep slate first. That's the nice, easy bit. Wow, that is looking pretty good. As you can see, I've officially made a giant ancient city portal. Technically, I haven't made the structure around the portal, but I didn't promise I would do that. Because if I did, it would probably end up looking terrible like this. And, you know what, let's just pretend it was just the square again, shall we? Isn't that nice? Is it a square or a rectangle? You know, are you a square or a rectangle? Pick a side already, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel for more high-quality builds you can only find on this channel. Okay, more seriously, I know you come to this channel expecting a certain quality of build, so I did do this correctly, and you can see the finished version now. I'm just kidding. It's every time I add something to it, it gets worse. But yeah, this is my ancient city portal, but scaled up. Doesn't it look magnificent? I'm gonna level with you at this point. My next idea was to take a river going through a plains biome, or plains enough biome, and then just replace the river with, say, diamond blocks and the plains biome with emeralds. Here is what that looks like, by the way, and in case you think this is the easiest one of the projects you shouldn't attempt to actually build, it was, except for the fact that I'm doing this on the Xbox, so here is what typing that out looked like at like 10 times speed. It's very painful to do any typing on the console versions of Minecraft, and that's a valuable thing. And honestly, it was at this point that I realized, like, okay, these ideas, they're like fun, interesting enough things, but we're not really diving that deep into really grand projects like with the mega desert temple or the witch hut or stuff like that. So I figured what might be more fun than phoning in and saying, yeah, what if we replaced everything with mineral blocks? Because technically, replacing a river with diamond blocks is slightly better and you shouldn't attempt it, but it's also kind of stupid. And so, yeah, if we're doing stupid, we might as well do the best type of stupid, which is to say, phone it in entirely and ask subscribers what they think you shouldn't attempt in survival. And so this is what people actually said. First things first was a desert well desert. This was some diet battery acid, and my god, this is legit survival. This isn't a project you shouldn't attempt in survival, it's a project you shouldn't attempt in survival that for some reason you did anyway, and I do have to say, I absolutely love it. I also love the idea that Adorable Ho has been working on, of building a dome around his end. Again, this looks like survival on the Legacy Console Edition. I'm only guessing that because if you look at the frame around the map, there's that weird water well there, so that is absolutely crazy to look at on the one level, but then also kind of crazy as we dive deeper in here is the wall around the village using a pillager outpost for a turret. I love that. Like, walls around a village are usually relatively small. This looks like an insanely scaled up wall. Also, we have Netherite Beacon. Again, it's just not as good as a Beacon Netherite, is it? Personally, I love this giant area mined out from the Forever World by Reaper of Stories. Look at the scale behind this. You know those maps that claim to be like an impregnable Minecraft base? This is definitely that to a whole different level. Then we have their entirely ridiculous ideas that could never be done. Like, can you believe there's an idea here to survive on a flat world with only a bonus chest and stream it? No one could survive on a flat world, and if they were going to do it, they certainly would never be known for being the first person to kick off the trend of surviving with just a bonus chest. I mean, that could never happen. Wow, I think that did happen. Man, that is one of the cool things about here on YouTube is like, the dumbest idea of like, can you survive a bonus chest? Not only did it turn out to be viable, but it turned out to be an idea that like seems to have kickstarted a little bit of a trend here on the internet. And speaking of kickstarting a trend, one of these ideas is from Anthony Diaz. There's no image of this, but he says level 6 Menga Sponge, I've only ever made a level 4. A Menga Sponge, if you don't know, looks something like this. So a level 1 Menga Sponge, I guess you could say the level 1 would be like this. You take the equivalent of what would be a cube, but instead of filling it all the way, you only fill out the little corners like this. This is it's like a cube, but with every single block being transparent. Then you can take this up to level 2 by combining enough of these together to make a full one out. So we take another one of these cubes and we place it over here. We take another one of the cubes and we place it over here. Then we take another one of the cubes and we place it over here. Then we take those 3 cubes and we duplicate them going this way. Obviously doing the same but going upwards, except this has to look like a cube and so. And you do that until you've effectively made a cube out of the cubes. This is level 2, and so you know what level 3 looks like? Okay, you probably recognize this if you have been watching the series because I did some version of it. I forgot just how ambitious I was going for with this. But yeah, you might recall that at some point, I was trying to make a Menga Cube in my end in creative. And this is one of those few tasks where, honestly, it's going to take you roughly the same amount of time, whether it's survival or creative, and getting to any real scale on this will take serious time, commitment, and effort. However, that gets me thinking, you know what would be a lot of fun? Is trying to make a Menga Cube in survival, because, you know, I think I'm always pretty honest when I'm in making these videos, even down to the point of saying, you know what, I could have like made up more to get to 9 on this list, but I wanted to show you the ones I was actually curious about, and then we phoned it in by using the subscribe suggestions, but an idea that does endlessly interest me. By the way, I only kind of tested that for fun, but did you know you can destroy blocks forever in the fire of the end portal beacon? Well, you know what, now I learned that. But, you know what interests me massively is the idea of doing something on this, maybe not this, the endlessly distance viewable scale. But making something big and impossible, and making a manga cube in survival is a great way to use up blocks. I happen to have too many blocks lying around, and so if you want to watch me make one of the biggest, most ridiculous projects, but actually in survival, then you can check out the live streams. I've been streaming slightly more recently, and if you want to see me make a manga cube at the 6th level, we can't even picture that, because in creative I ran out of the mental capacity to keep punching the holes. But if you think you want to watch it, then you might just enjoy coming along for a fun time. This is very strange. Like, what was I going for over here? I really cannot work it out. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you in that live stream, or in the next Survival Projects You Shouldn't Try video, because this is one of my favorite series. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you enjoyed the rest of your day, because I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye. Well, that was anticlimactic. I mean, a beacon netherite does seem very ridiculous. But I mean, how many beacons do we need? It's not that many. We just need... It genuinely is an easier task. This is one of those projects I'm gonna have to attempt in survival. It's gonna be a long time. It's gonna be a long time coming, but... Sometimes you need to dream in life. Sometimes that dream needs to be a meme.